All right, and welcome back, guys, to the final round. My name is Jake, and this is my second Canelo versus Crawford video of the day. This one will try to be a little bit quicker. Just going to go over the sort of really kind of a three-part thing here. Number one, the boxing politics behind this. Number two, quick thing. I am going to go more into their careers in my final analysis video later in the week, which will probably be an hour or two long. It's going to be crazy long. Um, I'm gonna probably honestly tell people, hey, like if you don't want to really watch that, I get it, but I have to make it not because for the for the channel, but just for myself, so I have it to look back on in case I look great, in case I'm kind of neutral, in case I look terrible. Really for the second and the third, the first and the third reasons. What the hell? All right. So I'm having a computer. Whatever. So let's get into the boxing politics that started Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford and giving us this fight. It is a massive fight. It is for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. And this fight sort of came together kind of weird. There had been rumors of it even before Bud Crawford went up and fought Mizraim Madrimov for the, I think, WBO junior super welterweight, or call it junior middleweight or light middleweight, whatever you want to call the division, world title. This fight was in talks. Really, it was even whispered after. Like, really, people started bringing up this fight after Bud Crawford defeated Errol Spence, because that was, we just now looking back at that fight. Bud Crawford, Errol Spence, was that a super fight? Yes. Was it a mega fight? No. Was it a fight of the century? Not even close. And it had to do with the fact that as great as Errol Spence was, and as great as Bud Crawford was, they had not fought a caliber of fighter of each other. And Crawford, in my opinion, has fought two guys of that caliber. He's about to fight the second. His first one was Errol Spence Jr. of who I'd say a pound, and that goes to the factor. This is something I'll bring up in the analysis video. I just want to mention it real quick. Not a tangent, below thing. I think it's very key to look at. And Canelo and Crawford went back and forth. I went back and forth on this at the first presser, I believe, a month or two ago, where Canelo talked about good fighters fighting great fighters, and so and so forth. And I think it came on the forefront when Bud Crawford mentioned, like, well, if you're a great fighter, Bivol is a good fighter, then then how do he beat you, sort of thing. When we're looking at the resumes, and I will bring this up in the whole analysis video, I definitely say later in the week. I do think that there is a big key here that we should look at this, and we should really go back and look at the resume. How many now in terms of fighting the caliber guy that gets you this kind of fight? Those are the guys who are legitimately at the top of the world, especially at the pound for pound list. It's all about fighting true pound for pound other talent, other pound for pound greats. Looking at Bud's career, he's fought in probably one, and that'd be Errol Spence Jr. He wasn't ranked number one at the time, but he was legitimately a pound for pound fighter. Even though has spent his entire career at welterweight, as we know from MMA and boxing, you could still be the best. I mean, look at Usyk. Usyk, and that's not true. He has gone for two divisions. I'd say the example would be Tyson Fury, when before he fought Usyk, he was viewed as probably the best in the world, but he'd just be heavyweight. And obviously heavyweight is different. It's a lot different, but you still can be the best in the world at one weight class. It's harder in boxing, especially under heavyweight, because there's so many divisions. It's something you have to go up to prove, because in boxing you sort of have to go up in weight and have to fight bigger guys to become a pound for pound great. You can do it at one weight class. It's not impossible, but you have to have like 14, 15, 20 title defenses against great talents, not against mediocre middle level middle level or mid level contender contender level guys. You know what I mean? What the hell? Kid, stop calling me. What's going on? Damn crap! I'm freaking whatever. So in terms of true of who they face, true pound for pound guys. If I really, Jesus, I don't care about the computer. If I had to say how many true elite pound for pound fighters that Terrence Crawford has fought and beaten, I'd probably just come up with one, and that one guy would be Errol Spence Jr. Obviously, he hasn't fought him, but at the time, he definitely was legitimately. He had the car crash and everything, and at the time he fought. At the time he fought Bud, maybe he really wasn't as a fighter at the time. Maybe he wasn't pound for pound anymore, but he was definitely viewed as that universally. Um, in terms of Canelo's career, who he's fought, now, obviously, he fought Floyd and Bivol. Those are his two losses. Both of those guys are pound for pound talents. Bivol is right now. Floyd was obviously, the universal, obviously, almost unanimous pound for pound king. At the time he fought Canelo, the only way Floyd would have lost that is if he lost to Canelo. Even when he fought Pacquiao, everyone knew that Pacquiao at the time. If they'd fought at the original date in 08, 09, 2010, it would have been up for debate because Pacquiao at that time was one of the greatest in the world. By 2015, it really wasn't in the question, but Floyd still was and proved that he was. In terms of true pound for pound guys that Canelo has fought and lost to, there's two. Those are two losses. That, in my opinion, now just fought. Now, guys, he just fought. You have to add Canelo. You have to add Floyd, and you have to add Bivol. Now, when he fought Bivol for the first time, people viewed Bivol as a strong world level titleist. I think people didn't really view him as pound for pound. At the time, I think I would have probably put him like 8 or 9. I wouldn't have put him in the top 5. He earned that top 5 ranking by beating Canelo, and he proved that he was. And all the few people who said he wasn't were proven wrong. Or sorry, the people who said he wasn't proven wrong, and the few people who said he was were proven right. In terms of for Canelo's career, who he's fought in, truly of pound for pound. And now this is at the time he fought them, and at the time those guys fought Canelo, were they pound for pound level? If I go back at his career, and obviously guys like Leonardo Tyner, who was 21-2 when he fought him, finished with a record of 35-17-2. Obviously, guys like Leonardo Tyner were not pound for pound greats. I'd say the first guy that he fought that I would say was truly a pound for. Now, obviously, he fought really good fighters, and he fought guys like Ryan Rose. He fought really solid, even some world level guys. Jose Mogo Cotto was up there. Kermit Cintron definitely, but really the true pound for pound guys. Now, I understand when he fought Shane Mosley in 2012. Shane was unfortunately not pound for pound at that level. He was a former pound for pound though. For a number of years throughout Shane Mosley's career, he was viewed as one of the greatest fighters in the world. I'm more spotty than most guys, but I'm not going to count that because that was 2012. When Mosley fought Floyd in 2010, I believe, or I think 2010, Mosley, even though he was older, Mosley was viewed as one of the best fighters in the world. But that's a different conversation for a different time. In terms of the first guy who I believe was truly a pound for pound guy that he fought was Floyd. He lost. Obviously, I'll make a video about Austin Trout probably tonight, going over his career. But and then he fought a guy who I really is an amazing boxer, a great Cuban talent. Just unfortunately does not have the ability to finish fights and beat the best. Is Erislandy Lara. He's a great fighter. His career is so unique and interesting. He's such an interesting guy, and he's actually amazing. He's so good, but he's one of those guys where if you are not a pound, Erislandy Lara is what I call a pound for pound gatekeeper. He's not a pound for pound guy, but he's a guy that can beat anybody who's not pound for pound. If you are a pound for pound guy, Erislandy Lara is going to lose to you. You will beat him. Or if you're an emerging pound for pound guy, still a top pro level guy, you can beat him or have a close fight against him. If not, he's going to destroy you. I'd say the second guy that he fought that was one of the best in the world at the time, I've gone back and forth on this, was Miguel Cotto. At the time they fought, was Miguel Cotto one of the best in the world? He was 35 years old. But Cotto's record, I believe, at the time was really good. I believe Cotto at the time was he was 40-4. I believe if we went back in time to 2015, was Cotto on the pound for pound list? I don't know. I don't know if he was at the time. I'll have to go back and look. I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no, and if he was at the bottom. So I'm not gonna count that. The next guy maybe would be Amir Khan. He was 31-3. Um, it was when did he fight him? He fought him in 2016. At the time, he had lost to Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson. That's a whole different thing. Um, that's a massacre. You know, that's a whole controversial fight, and it's a whole different thing. Um, and then he had lost to Brutus Prescott. So yeah, I'm not going to include Amir Khan in that. He's a great fighter, but I won't include that. So then I probably have to go. At this point, he's only fought Floyd of true pound for pound, and then fought Triple G. Triple G clearly fits that bill. He fought him 3 times. The first two, obviously, by the time the third fight happened, Triple G was not pound for pound. But the first 2 times, Triple G, I think, was ranked higher than him on pound for pound. Maybe not. And he probably wasn't. But Triple G, absolute legend killer. I still to this day think he won the first fight. Screw Adelaide Berg. Or I was Adelaide, whatever her name, Mrs. Berg. She's a bitch. She honestly, I mean, she robbed Triple G of a win. Now, obviously, Canelo, came back in a second fight and he fought better, and I did think he won that fight. But it's the fact that there is freaking Adelaide Bird, 118 and 110. That is still the worst. That is still the worst card I've ever there seen. Uh, you know, I'm the only judge that got the right was freaking Dave Moretti, and he's had some problems too, bad judging. So obviously he fought Triple G twice, but that's still one guy. So now that's 2 guys of who are pound for pound level who Canelo's fought. The third guy, I really want to put Danny Jacobs in this category. I'd love to. Um, I, I really want to, and I'm gonna make a. I love Danny Jacobs. He's the miracle man. I love him so much. He is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I was so mad when he lost to Shane Mosley Jr., who is fighting. I believe he's fighting in October against Jesus Ramos Jr., which is it's a good fight, but I still don't like that. I was really pissed when Danny Jacobs lost to Shane Mosley. That broke my heart, and I really feel bad for Danny Jacobs because before he fought Canelo, his 2 losses were to Dmitry Pirog, which he was a good fighter, but and then obviously Triple G. As much as I love Danny Jacobs, and at the time, if you asked me, was Danny Jacobs pound for pound, I would have said 100% pound for pound fighter. He was 32. He was good, but even at that point, he was. I mean, and he was his prime before the fight. I think Canelo pushed him out of his prime after that fight. That's how good Canelo fought in that fight. But I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to say no. I did say so. Sergey Kovalev, I have to put in this category. I have to put Sergey Kovalev as a pound. And I think at the time he was old, and I understand that. He was 36, but Kovalev had dominated 175 for many years. His fight with Anthony Yarde was, I think that was actually his previous fight before this, which would have been crazy. Is that a previous fight before Canelo? Holy crap. Yeah. And I do think this. I think the absolute, like, he had 2 crazy wars. Now, even though his fight with Milano Alvarez, which was his fight before Anthony Yarde, was a decision in which I don't know how Lisa Gampo scored that fight 120, 108. That's ridiculous. But even though he could have won that fight, it was still a good fight, and he still fought great. The fact that he fought Anthony Yarde in that 11 round TKO win, and yeah, he was winning on the cards, but that 8th round, Anthony Yarde should have killed him. He should have killed him. And I'm a huge Anthony Yarde fan, but and even though at the time, I believe he was 36 at the time, I believe. Is he still fighting? Yeah, he is still fighting. He just beat Artur Man. Yeah, he just beat Artur Man. Wow, he just won the IBA Intercontinental title. That's crazy. Yep, I'm in Shadow Blinks. That's crazy. I did not know that he was still fighting. I thought Cole retired, but be honest, he he's and yeah, it's and obviously he took 3 years off after he fought Canelo, or 4 years off after he fought Canelo. For good reason. But at the time, Kovalev, 36, he. I might have to retract that and say no. If this was before the Alvarez fight and the Yard fight, I think at 34 or 35, I probably would have put Kovalev as a pound for pound. I think he was still in the pound for pound at the time. I'm pretty sure he had to be. He was a great fighter. I don't know. I don't know if I put Kovalev. I don't know if I put him because he had lost to Alvarez by knockout, but he had got it back in a dominant decision. And then he had the two losses to Andre Ward. It's hard. I don't know. I'm gonna say because of his age, I'm gonna say Kovalev. Now, as I'm showing this, there are like 4 or 5 guys who I mentioned throughout this whole process that are true boxing legends, Hall of Fame guys. They're just not, they just never were true pound for pound guys for a long period of time. Um, After Kobe, now I have to put Billy Joe Saunders in this category. At the time, he was undefeated, 30-0. Obviously, Billy Joe wasn't pound for pound after the fight, but he was 30-0. He was 30-0. He was a slick boxer. At the time, he was 31 years old. Obviously, it was more to the fact that Billy Joe had never fought someone of Canelo's power and speed and ferocity, and he got finished after the 8th round. I would put Billy Joe Saunders in this category, and sorry guys, and also his fight against Abney Yildirim, I think that was a setup, honestly, but whatever. To be honest, I'm looking at it now. I think Isaiah's like, bro, where are you? I'm surprised that Isaiah hasn't said anything yet. It's at 8 o'clock, isn't it? Hold on. It's 8. No. Isaiah hasn't said anything yet. Okay. But no, back to that dude. Like, it's if I'm gonna put Billy Joe Saunders in there, I'm gonna put Kovalev. And at the time. So you know what? We're gonna do 3 Kovalev, and we'll do 4 for Billy Joe Saunders. And then you got Caleb Plant. Was Caleb Plant pound for pound guy? No. Now, he was undefeated, but he wasn't pound for pound. That's when he went and won the other middleweight title. And then, hold on. I put Floyd, Triple G, Kovalev, Billy Joe Saunders, and then 5 would be Bivol, who he fought. And then I really want to put Jermell Charlo in this. If he had fought in if he had fought in Jermall Charlo, I'd put him in there. But the problem, because Jermall hasn't lost yet. He hasn't lost. Jermell had the 2 fights of Tony Harrison. He had a difficult fight with Austin Trout. He destroyed Erickson Lubin, obviously, but he had the his first fight against John Jackson was a little difficult. He still won, but and then the Jason and then the Brian Castellano fight, which were great fights, but I thought he won both fights. Obviously, the second one he finished by knockout, but he was a great fighter. I don't think Jermell was ever pound for pound. Jermall, different story, also a middleweight. I don't know. I'm not going to put Jermell in that category. And then he fought Jaime Munguia, who was 43-0, but as I've said many times on the podcast, and I'll say it now, he was it was overall pretty padded, a pretty padded 43-0 record. He had fought very very few true, not just pound for pound, but just overall guys at world level. And then he fought Berlanga and William Skull. So really, this is either the third true pound for pound guys. Now, in terms of the pound for pound greats, he's got 3 guys. You got Floyd, or actually Yupa Bivol. So you got Floyd, Bivol, Triple G, Crawford. That's four. We look at Bud's career. We got. I'm gonna look at it real quick, and I will do a full. Went to. I did go too far in this video, but whatever. I'm looking at his career. I'm gonna scroll up real quick, and I don't see anybody on a pound for pound list that I would even put up here. I mean, he fought Gamboa when Gamboa was undefeated, but at the time, I think Gamboa was already past 30. Yeah, he was 32. He had had a bunch of promotional issues. His career was already kind of on decline when he fought him anyway, so I'm not going to include him. Deary Jean was great, but he was kind of best to find. Victor Postal, he was. I mean, Victor Postal was good, but considering he lost to Gary Russell, Jose Ramirez, uh, lost to Elvis Rodriguez, who is a good fighter, but he's he's not amazingly world level. Considering all that, lost to Josh Taylor, who is great, but considering all that, was Victor Postal world level 100%? Was Bud Crawford, um, or was Victor Postal pound pound guy? No, he was not pound pound. And then really, I mean, Felix Diaz was great. Julius Ndongo, he was great. You know, Jeff Horn is so weird. He was great. He was undefeated, but after besides Pacquiao, he's got nothing to his name really. Jose Benavidez Jr. He's still fighting. He is still fighting. He was a guy who was undefeated. People thought he was going to be great, and yeah, he was not that level. Obviously, fighting Amir Khan in 2019. Kell Brook, when Kell Brook beat Sean Porter years ago, he was pound for pound level. After he lost to Spence, he was pound for pound level, even though he was great. Sean Porter when Sean Porter was fighting Heath Thurman and fighting all these great fighters, even Kell Brook, I thought Sean Porter was one of the best in the world. He wasn't at this time. David Avisi, Mavanesian, great fighter, obviously not. I'm looking at his career and I see one guy, and that's Errol Spence Jr. And honestly, I don't think it's the only other guy who I would say was close to pound for pound level would have to be Victor Postal. Because he was 28-0. He was already the WBC champion. He was I don't think he was pound for pound at the time, but he was definitely in the conversation to be close to that level at the time. I don't think it was his age, Postal. He was 32, and he was good, but it's Bud Crawford. Bud won, and Bud dominated him easily. I mean, he knocked him down twice for round 5. Bud did. Looking at it, I can't see any other guy who I would put. I mean, I could put. I mean, if he'd fought in Gamboa 4 years before, but it doesn't matter. One guy, and that's Errol Spence Jr. So when you look at that, that's that thing. I think at the part of this tangent, I said it was going to be quick. It wasn't quick. It pretty much was the whole video. But that has been their careers through their pound for pound time. In terms of the boxing politics, I actually am going to probably make another video about that. But the boxing politics, real quickly, this fight came together, whispered first after Canelo versus, after, I'm just going to go to this real quick before it yells at me. Like, dude, where are you at? What's taking so long? I'm recording a video, bro. Oh, come on, get in there. What's going on? What? Yeah, just get in there. Oh, no. God damn it. Oh, crap. Hold on, guys. All right, you know what? We're going to probably just end the video here. Kind of abrupt. This is going to be probably just a video about their overall careers. You know what? This is a good video because I've kind of gone to their careers. I will go. So this video ended up being not about boxing politics, really about one thing. The stiffness of their competition and how many of them were truly pound for pound level. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for the final round. My name is Jake. Remember, the greatest fighters always leave it all in the final round. I certainly didn't today. See you.